I can't explain. You are in a hug box and you are doing the bubble. You are doing the echo chamber when you said a thing that you wanted to hear and then you scrolled down through 700 comments, skipping all of them except for the ones that said something you wanted to hear. That was doing the thing. You did the thing. You can't escape that criticism. You did it on camera. I saw it. I watched it happen. You did the thing. You did the thing. You did the thing that everyone says that you say you shouldn't do. You did the hug box snowflakes thing. You did it. I can't hammer that home enough. So, if you're new to the channel, you're probably new because you've seen me making fun of one Shad M. Brooks, giving him some light teasing, a little around the ankle stabbing from a small creator to a much, 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 much larger one. As a matter of fact, I can't say how much I am thankful enough this Thanksgiving for Shadiversity blowing up his own career and alienating almost his entire fan base in order to provide me a mere 1,500 subs in like a month. Thank you so much, Shad. You're a real one. If I had a fucking 40 right now and I still drank, I would still pour the whole fucking thing out for you because you are just you're king. You do king shit. Blowing your whole career up for me. You know that it's real Christian of you. What I'm getting at. But if you've been watching me, you know that I've covered. I did a whole gigantic review of his book. I'm pretty sure other streamers may have as well. I haven't seen anyone else release one recently except for, I think, Kirk Patty Cake, who is right around the same size as me, and I think we share a lot of viewers. I see her name, I believe her name, popping up when we do stuff. But most of the reviews are from a little while ago. So I hope beyond hope that his renewed attention that he's getting, Mr. Brooks, from doing AI stuff and doing cringy right-wing Christo-fascist nonsensory has invigorated other people to give a look at his book, because the man's got like 10 million fucking reviews. He sold a shitload of the book, and it's really not a particularly good thing. But, you know, I reviewed it. Other people reviewed it. And I'm stoked to see his rebuttals of the review, because how could you not be? That's literally not even this much needs to be said. I don't even know why I'm trying to be clever. I just need to let the man speak for himself. So with all things to do, we're going to pop over here to the art screen and say hello in chat, give a hello to Shad, and we're going to be spending the next 18 minutes and 20 seconds with our favorite Aussie. Can I get the Brigandine? The Brigandine stays on in chat for a real one.
Greetings, I'm Shad, and it's been over 4 years since I released my novel, Shadow of the Conqueror, and since that time the overall reception to it has been honestly overwhelming. Calculating all the sales of the book across every medium, which is, ebook, paperback, and audiobook, I've sold over 40,000 copies, and, keeps on going. Yet since the release of my book, I've also been more...
I gotta say, that's an insanely large amount. Like, with all things I might say to it, congratulations on literally popping out an actual bestseller, because that is an insane amount. I heard this kind of coming up and people were talking about it, and it is true and it's untrue, that 40K sales in books is like, it seems low. 40K sales of a book is a New York Times bestseller. Off rip. I'm just telling industry, if you sell 5,000 copies of one book, usually in your launch week at all, which is usually when you're going to sell almost all of them, you are a New York Times bestselling author. If you sell like 20 to 30K, that's gangbusters. Selling 40K books is fucking wild, right? That's an insane accomplishment at the amateur level, which is what all indie people are. That's selling that many without a label, without being part of one of the big three publishers, without a massive publishing push campaign and stuff. That's literally all off of his subs. So you have to give that to him. I just want that put plainly. If you sell 40K, generally, you will have people beating your door down to try to sell the next book. So it's odd that he has not followed it up yet. That's the way that you should be approaching this mentally. You should be like, well, fuck, that's actually a New York Times bestseller level of book sales. So why have we not had a follow-up on that in 4 years? That's the kind of way you should be approaching it. But in any case, congrats, Shad. You fucking converted, man. The second half of that, sorry that I meant to say, is it is also not quite as high as you would expect. Selling off of your celebrity tends to get a lot higher results in trade because he's not an unknown selling 40K. That would be gnarly. He's a known entity with a platform selling 40K, which is not less impressive in sales, but it does show some cracks in the foundation, so to say, that if you have 1 point whatever I think actually Shad is like 2.2, 2.3 some odd million subs or something like that. If you're that high and you're only converting to like 40K sales, that can be kind of an indication that you're not really motivating your fan base to get in there. And we've seen some of the reviews from this. I'm sorry, I'm not just playing it off. And the reviews do not seem like they're coming from readers. A lot of the positive ones. They're a little on the rough side, but we're just going to go ahead and let him talk.
Open about my views on many...
Also, shout out for the Kindle Direct Publishing Shadow of the Conqueror edition, just printed right... Shout out. What a hardcover.
Heaps on Shadiversity specifically. In actual fact, I've made another channel, Night's Watch, to separate any political views I have, also views I have about modern day media, but I am very open about those views on Night's Watch.
Are you oh my god, I'm gonna fuck with you. He talks shit about Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. That fucking show is perfect. That show is perfect. What are you...
And you also probably have seen that I am really passionate about AI art as well these days. So much that I even have a new channel called Shad AI, where
yeah, we all know Shad. We know
separate the video content onto another channel, showing tutorials, addressing the controversies, having debates with people who are very much against it, and all that stuff. And I do like to make community posts, just sharing new content on Shad AI to help the channel grow. But the content is not on Shadiversity specifically. Yet with me being outspoken about these things, it has upset a lot of people who disagree with me, which I find very unfortunate, because I genuinely believe that people are capable of getting along even when they disagree strongly about many things.
I'll tell you what. You got to get out of your house more, because that's not always the case. The job military would not exist if people actually got along, even though they disagreed on some things. I was a Ken. As a Ken, my job was gun. What's your job, Ken? Gun.
Especially ideology and politics, and that's even more important, to learn to get along with people we disagree with, because people like me, I have very firm views. I'm not going to be changing unless you give me really good argument and evidence. So instead...
Yeah, so that's the point, man, though. Like, I hear this, I know it's going to be pause fest. I'm so sorry, everybody. It's going to be a pause fest. But, like, this kind of idea has to get argued with, because it's... So what the framework of this is like this, like, sort of, it's liberalism, right? Don't worry, I'm not going to get all no theory, don't worry. But like the idea of liberalism, maximal freedom for the individual, requires you to be like really like, hey man, you can do whatever you want to do as long as I can do whatever I want to do, right? That's like kind of the heart of liberalism without getting...
New subscriber.
Welcome, new subscriber. That's the heart of liberalism, so to say, without...
Welcome, new subscriber. New subscriber.
Do I have to turn that off? Okay, hold on just a second. This might be one of those things. Just okay, calm down. Calm down, new subscribers. The heart of the liberalism deal is basically like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, kind of thing, you know, and we try to maximize our individual freedoms, blah, 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 blah. But it also requires an inherent spirit of compromise, an inherent spirit of compromise, which is things along the lines of, you like to go walk around naked. I don't like to see people naked in public, right? Real basic thing, okay? So we have to compromise and find a middle point where those two things don't interact. Religious pseudo-fascist like him, all Mormons, I'm so sorry to say this, you're all fucking Christo-fascists. I hate to bring it up. That's the point of Mormonism. It's in your church documents. Don't fucking argue with me. Argue with the Mormons that don't like the Mormon church anymore. Fight them on it, okay? Because it's not, I won't even entertain it. But like, that's the point, is that you are trying to remove the liberal aspect of it, right? And not be compromising. He just articulated that outright. I'm not going to compromise with you on my beliefs. Okay, so we're not doing liberalism anymore. We're doing something else, right? And there's not a lot of somewhere else's to go when you speak in regards to social control and conformity to specific ideals. That's just fascism. That's how you get back to it. We won't get into that whole shebang, but you got to understand, Shad, if you're watching back through here, that's people's issue. When it's, I can't be convinced because I have such strong, whatever to my moral, it's like, okay, but the second that you can't be convinced anymore, but you're infringing on me, then we no longer have the ability to engage in liberalism. We cannot do compromise anymore because you are being uncompromising, at which point it goes from talk to action. And then that's the part that you probably don't enjoy as much because, well, I just make fun of you. But like, historically speaking, that's how you get stormings of Bastilles and shit. You know what I'm saying? I digress.
Instead of cutting ties completely and just disassociating.
Which is also a nice thing to do. It's fine to cut ties with somebody and disassociate with them in the spirit of liberalism, if that's your kind of vibe, right? You can, for your own mental health, you don't have to stay around people that bug the fuck out of you. I strongly suggest you don't.
Wouldn't it be much better to just learn to get along? What does it have to do in relation to my novel? Well, because there are a lot more people who dislike me for me being outspoken on many things, there is, of course, far more criticism and attacks against me. And one of the unfortunate kind of points of attack people have recently been trying to take a shot at me is in my novel, Shadow of the Conqueror. But instead of focusing on the negative and giving people who don't like me the attention that they seem to be after, I want to focus on the positive and also...
Hey! I resemble that remark.
So, share with you what the actual overall view and opinion of my novel from general readers. People who either don't have an issue with me or are able to be objective about reviewing, media that comes out. This isn't to say my novel is for everyone. Of course not. There are things that are going to be just far too unpalatable for a lot of...
Bro, why are you using this USB mic? This is an NTC USB, isn't it? That's the Rode NTSC USB side address microphone. Bro, you gotta up your game, man. Get one of these. You got a little bit of money. Get a nicer mic, man.
Readers, I did that on purpose. The story of my novel is about a tyrant. One of the worst people who has ever lived. He is equivalent to like the Stalin or Hitler of his world. So
Stalin!
He's done some
Called it.
awful, terrible things. But the premise of the book is, could someone like that possibly be redeemed? And it follows his journey as he comes to a realization of how evil he really was.
But does he, though?
Some really dark subject matter, including rape, abuse, genocide. I mean, this is a tyrant. And I did look to historical examples of the type of character that I was constructing. And one of the interesting things you do need to confront with a story like this is how do they approach relationships? And when looking at, how Genghis Khan kind of approached relationships and his treatment of women, there's some troubling things that historical figures like that have done, and one of the goals of my novel was to not pull any punches, okay? If it gets uncomfortable, well, it's funny. All the terrible things that my character, Dalen, has done in the past, because this is all actually in the background of the novel, is not equivalent to what real-world figures individually have done. He has done awful things in lesser extents, in that you can draw parallels from multiple historical figures, including tyrants of the past, and then I kind of took them all and put them into one confronting character. And so my goal was to try...
You sounded so weird while you're saying all that. What? I don't know how to... You should have just redone that whole part. I'm not even like trying to specifically nitpick. I don't have anything against what you specifically said, but you were just a little. You're a little floppy on that one.
If people would be willing to go along the journey with this character, and pushing it far, I was kind of happy for like, all right, if I make maybe 80% of people can go along with this, difficulties, the challenges of this character, and there's probably 20% that's going to be way too much and unpalatable. The overall consensus, which I want to share some things with you, like what the consensus is of the book, is actually a lot more people seem to be willing and on board with the journey of this character. So looking at the audiobook adaptation of Shadow the Conqueror, which was narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Reddy.
Okay. I knew you fucking watched my videos. You dog, you.
And they did a phenomenal job. Michael Kramer, Kate Reddy, they did the audio narration for Wheel of Time, the book series. Also Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, Stormlight Archives. So absolutely amazing narrators. And genuinely, I think the audiobook is one of the most enjoyable ways to consume Shadow of the Conqueror. So out of nearly 6,000 ratings, so we're looking at 5,978, the overall consensus is 4.6 out of 5 stars, which is like, that humbles me, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's more...
With all due respect, Shad, I don't think you've ever been humbled.
Kind of... it's a more positive reception of my book than I ever dreamed. Remember, I was thinking, maybe like 80% of people would understand there's going to be a 20%. It looks like a lot more people have really enjoyed the novel, Shadow of the Conqueror. If we sort the reviews just by...
Tyler, don't go ooh for Shad, please.
Not filtering by the most positive reviews. These are the reviews of what the most recent people who have read the book, and it is... It's hard to kind of put into words, because you kind of dream that a book would be received with this level of positivity, and it's out of your hands though when you release it into the world. People will, not pull back any punches, and the critics of the novel, not everyone loves it. They don't pull any punches, and then the people who particularly dislike me end up actually saying flat out dishonest things. I don't listen to all of them, because you never want to dwell on the negativity, but you do want to actually be open to legitimate criticism.
What does it say? Hold on. Overall performance from Cesar Rios Perez. Couldn't put it down. Have been a fan of Shad and his YouTube channel for a while, and picked this up with a credit. Once I got into it, I was surprised by the depth and complexity of the world he built and the characters that populate it. The premise is inventive, and it draws on sources and inspirations from all different genres. Would definitely recommend. From Donald Chambliss Jr. I must say, this book had been a fantastic ride from the start to the end. One of the best reads. You love and hate the main character, and it is so well written. That's like such an oddly body reply. Also, those are not good reviews. There is one of the best reviews I've ever gotten was an 8.5 out of 10 for my book, The Eyes Beneath My Father's House, and it's like 3 fucking pages long. It's a dude's whole blog post, and he went in specifically and talked I was like, this motherfucker knows as much about these stories as I do. Literally got me. I was like, all right, okay. And like his critique, but it was really in depth. He talked about the stories very directly, which is not the case here. This is I could put this about anything, like quite literally. Dude, like fucking, except for like the direct mention of Shad, like almost nothing is directly brought up from it. This is like weird body vibe reviews. But I mean, hey, man, if they're enjoying it, they're enjoying it. I won't detract from that, but like, you've got to find, this is not the kind of feedback as an artist that you want, even if it's good. I'll re-articulate this as a non-Shad criticism. If you're an artist, do not seek out criticism which just says it's good. Or I like it, like, ooh, wow, that's great. That is endorphin. You'll become an endorphin junkie, all right? And it'll drive you fucking crazy because you will become an emotional crackhead. There's no other way to say that. There's no nicer way to say that. All of the people you've ever seen online who suddenly freak the fuck out, right? Because like they get like negative, like a big chunk of negative feedback, and they start losing their minds. All of them are what I can only refer to as just emotional endorphin heads, all right? We'll just say it like that. They don't have to be dismissive against people that use crack cocaine too much. Those people get juiced by endorphins because, like, if you guys don't know, I hit 100 concurrence tonight. That's like a big thing for me. I also have like a little bit of brain damage. So like things don't hit me the same way they hit other people. But even that little bit's like, ooh, yeah, good. You know, sometimes when I used to drop stuff on TikTok, I would wake up and it would have gone viral and it's got all the big 99 right there, 99 plus, and then it was just all day you can read comments and shit. I got other stuff to do. I have other hobbies. I have other things that make me happy and stuff, but some people get fucking hooked on that shit. They get hooked on it bad. And it doesn't matter if you're big or small. I've had people that I've worked with in my circles within podcasting and stuff, people that I've even worked with in the news industry, and they become fucking endorphin junkies because they like that fucking hit. Cortisol, whatever the fuck. Shout out my, what do you call those? Endocrinologists, all right, who actually know what the fuck. But you know what I'm trying to say. As an artist, if you start seeking out immediate gratification that just says, this is good, then you're basically only eating your dessert. You're getting dessert first critique. Even if it's fucking great, you should only be seeking out and really valuing critique that you know has peeled the flesh off of whatever you've made and looked deep down into the innards. Like, think of it this way. You know I'm right on this, by the way, because I'll just describe it in a different way. If you have a guy, 10 people come up to you and they look at your car and they're like, hey man, that's a nice car. And you're like, thanks dude. And you feel good, that's great. If a dude goes up to your car, pulls the fucking hood up on it, and he's like a certified mechanic, he's like, hey man, this is doing pretty good. You're taking really good care of this car. I would double check that filter because sometimes, you know, like the filters on this model, they can get a little guffed up. You got some leafs in there. I pulled the leafs out for you though. That's pretty solid. That guy's compliment is first off worth a whole lot more, but also when you start seeking out criticism that's that in depth, you are also going to be more prepared for any negative criticism that comes your way, which is going to come, deserved or not, because it's just going to happen. And I think people that they specifically start seeking out, like just bland, it was good, it was good, it was great, I fucking love it. You know, that kind of shit. If you just start seeking that out, first off, it's going to be what you ask for. And your brain will just start naturally associating that with success at your projects, even if you're good. But, you know, eventually, that's the only way that you take in criticism and you ain't eating your vegetables, you know what I mean? You ain't fucking getting down into the nitty gritty. You're not having conversations with your peers, especially your fucking peers on the subject. You're going to take one across the bridge and it's going to make you spiral. People like Kanye West, completely fucking blown out by bad. He's on a downward spiral that is going to last for fucking ever because the man only wants immediate high level credit, like low level fucking, like, you know, plaudits. Like, hey man, that was great. Thank you, Kanye. And that's how you get yes men and shit, by the way. It's the same thing. But you want the whole world to be your yes man as an artist. That's basically, we're all boiling it down. So like, this isn't necessarily a knock against Shad. I'm not going to say that like I'm not reading your mind and saying this is specifically what you want. But if you out there in YouTube land, VOD gang, if this is the kind of criticism that you're always seeking out, it's going to be the only criticism that you accept too. So just make sure you're always trying to get really, really fucking aggressive criticisms from people that are your peers in the subject and be very, very receptive to the possibility that like your fly's down. You know what I'm saying? I'll hop back to the video, but thank you for joining me over on the double camera. I saw Shad reply to a review of his book that was positive. The reviewer's deepest remarks were that the book had good world building and the topics were sensitively handled. It can be very hard to find good critiques. This is from Faith. I don't think I've seen you in here before. Welcome, Faith. Hard to find good critiques these days. Most people have a hard time articulating why something is good or even not so good. Surround yourself with honest people. Absolutely. If you want to get good critiques, I strongly suggest you join the Discord, westside.com, GG, something. I don't know. I think it might be broken. Doc's trying to fix it right now. I saw you in chat. Shout out, Doc. And pop in there. We're doing a little bit of criticism. Don't worry. I'm in there. So if I find, I actually have, please help, please look criticism channel that no one else is taking advantage of because the stakes are high to post in it. But you will not get instant gratification, but you can post your stuff. And we have a lot of authors. Not authors necessarily, artists. I think there might be one or two authors and a few audio people there. So if you like to make stuff visually, audibly, video games, anything like that, movies, animations, 3D modeling, maps, painting, tabletop RPG figurines, the whole shit and shebang, pop over to the West Side and say hello to everybody. You might find some good critique there. And I will always reward good critique with a little. I might make a whole roll for it. There's like, hey, this guy gives. I almost said this guy gives good head. I'm so sorry.
And so on the occasional thing, I will, listen to a negative review here and there. And some actually, I can understand where they're coming from. It's like, all right, you're being fair. Thank you for being fair. But then there are other ones that just flat out misrepresent the book completely and lie about it. And that does put me in an interesting position as an author, because to what level should an author defend his work when there are objective lies being spread about the book that you could literally just read sections of the book which contradict what people are saying? So that's just an unfortunate thing. But okay, it's much.
Read them, but Shad. But Shad! Read them! I'm telling you, I have the evidence right here. Okay, so what you need to understand... Oh, I'm going way too fast because I'm listening to it on 1.25. I just fucking absolutely smoked myself. What you need to understand is there's a lot of evidence. It's right behind me, but you can't see it. I have more important things to be talking about. We're not going to waste time with that. Look at these nice views on screen.
Better to dwell on the positive, but this isn't me actually filtering for the positive. This is just most recent reviews.
Buddy.
And still, the reception is just really, really encouraging. And
look at the smile. That was adorable, though. That was a cute
as we see
smile.
some of the reviews here on Audible, full 5-star across the board. Couldn't put it down. We have, again, full 5 stars, A Book of Redemption. I must say, this book has been a fantastic...
Just for the record, why don't any of these have...
Gride from the
None of them have a profile picture.
Reads. You love and hate...
I don't know if he's reading it so they don't show
so
up.
Well written. And I'm like, yes, that's like... This is a difficult concept and story to try and manage. And yeah, the character, there's so much to learn.
Okay, so I retract one of my earlier statements that he might not be completely into that, because that was just a lot of excitement for somebody saying, like, hey, man, you did a good job. Oh, yeah, this is what I've been wanting to hear.
About this character. But when I hear feedback like that, I'm like, oh,
Shad,
that's what I was going for. Full 5 stars again, fun, imaginative, and original.
Are you turning redder, or is my monitor set
This is
weird?
it. Wish it was a series. Now, just on that note, it's a standalone with sequel potential. At the moment, I'm quite happy to let Shadow the Conqueror kind of rest for a bit and be a standalone novel, although...
For possible sequels to Shadow the Conqueror and a full rewrite of the book, see my video, the name of which I cannot remember because I wrote it in YouTubeese, on the channel. Check that out.
There are sequels that...
I think it was rewriting Shadiversity's terrible book.
Not full 5
all
stars,
caps
but
terrible.
this reviewer says potential for a first book. I believe it is
Holy
good.
shit, 190? Oh, fuck.
Interest and intrigue, but with the freedom to
Show us
enjoy.
the dog.
Continue
Come
on.
here.
Someone says, my favorite. I have listened to this like 5 times now. Awesome story that is meaningful.
Little guy.
The perfect mix of fantasy and sci-fi. This was one of the other things.
He is turning redder. Okay.
About writing the novel is I want
Dog
to
and
approach
bunny,
the
yeah.
fantastical element for the magic like hard science fiction, and that's why one of the
Oh, they're
descriptive,
just a little friend.
I guess, genre types you could apply to Shadow of the Conqueror is hard fantasy, where hard science fiction is science fiction where the science really matters. Hard fantasy is like that, where the magic is explained in almost a scientific way. Great book, if a tad predictable. Someone next review is great story.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did I miss that? Did we miss the potential one? I'm sorry. I was paying attention to chat.
That is meaningful. The perfect mix. I have interest and intrigue, but with the freedom to enjoy. Continue on. Someone says,
Okay.
my favorite. I have listened to this like 5 times now. Awesome story. That is meaningful. The perfect mix of fantasy and sci-fi. This was one of the other things I really enjoyed writing the novel, is I wanted to approach the fantastical element, the magic, like hard science fiction, and that's why one of the descriptive...
Who says you have to remove your own rib to suck your own dick? Who said that? When did that become a rule? Can we get some research into that when the moment that became a rule that you have to follow?
I guess, genre types you could apply to Shadow of the Conqueror is hard fantasy, where hard science fiction is science fiction where the science really matters.
Okay, I thought he would be answering the negatives, and I'm gonna let him go because this is just gold. I know this is what you guys are here for. This is me eating my vegetables. But this is a cope stream, right? Am I fucking crazy? Is this just am I watching a man mainline copium right now?
Welcome.
You could just not make the video. You could just fucking ignore me. I swear to God.
Subscribe.
Okay, I've got to fucking turn Stream Elements noise off at some point. That's
Hard
loud.
fantasy is like that, where the magic is explained in almost a scientific way. Great book. If
Lead,
it's
I had to step
unpredictable,
away. Have a great
someone
stream,
makes
Bar
a
Gang.
review.
Thank you,
Great
Lead, for
story.
popping by.
I've enjoyed Shadow of the Conqueror very much and would love to hear more stories from this fascinating and magical world. And now here we have a mid review, a mid book by a dork afraid of female empowerment. Now,
Based.
clearly not. There's a lot of female characters that are, Alita Battle Angel, of course, is one of my favorite, honestly. And so it's not female empowerment. This is the type of story that I was going for. And
Whoa, what? Did you just ignore that? What, dude, he wrote like 2 paragraphs.
of course, is one of my favorite, honestly. And so it's not female empowerment. This is the type of story that I was going for.
Bro, look at the size of this comment he just fucking rolled by. Look, my man got a touch.
It really matters. Hard fantasy is like that, where next review is Great Circle World. This one is interesting because clearly I'm not. There's a lot of female characters that are.
Who called him a dork? Do we have fucking chatters? Don't be going and leaving bad reviews on people's. That's so Tyler's fucking West Side chatter coded. Calling someone a fucking dork. A mid book by a dork afraid of female empowerment. The story is alright, not much new, but that can be okay. The issues are more core issues with the author, Shad. His love for tropes like big, strong man saves helpless women comes through a lot on the page, and it gets a little annoying. The main character is a prick who you don't really end up rooting for, and the female lead is basic, tropey, and not well written. There's some cool magic and world building, but the characters feel lacking and forgettable.
Alita Battle Angel, of course, is one of my.
Those are all fair
favorites.
fucking
So
criticisms.
it's not female empowerment. This is the type of story that I was going for.
Hold on. Something. The sad part is where Brando has embraced the LGBT community in versions of tropes such as weak women who need to be saved. Shad gets upset when women wear pants. I wish I were joking or exaggerating, but I am not. They are both middle-aged Mormon men. Brandon has clearly thought through the dynamics of the real world we live in, and Shad is living in a fantasy world. The potential for a good story is there, but Shad clearly needs to grow up and pull his head out of Joseph Smith's ass before he can write quality literature. Oh, shit, dude. He saw that fucking Mormon dig and ooh.
Another full.
By the way, another great fiction writer, Joseph Smith, like fucking goddamn. Started a whole cult.
Star review, feeling sorry for a tyrant. Bold choice to make the main character Dalen a monster similar to Mao, Stalin, and Hitler, and managing to make me empathize, root for, and feel sorry for Dalen. This story is great. The diversity of these humans are written in a way that makes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pop through the cope.
Thank you.
The cope reading.
They honestly keep going. If you look at the reviews, sort by most recent, you'll get. I think it's one of those things where use and feed preferences and interests, and so. Is it to me to say it's good? I know I enjoyed it. I wrote it for that purpose. But I think it would be fair to say that the book is very well received by most people that read it. As we can see, I'm not filtering away negative reviews.
But you also got... Oh, I'm not filtering away negative reviews. Hold on, we just saw one. Where is it? Where is it, Shad?
So is it to me to say it's good? I know I enjoyed it. I wrote it for that purpose. But I think it would be fair to say that the book is very well received by most people that read it. As we can see, I'm not...
Whoop! I don't know how to do slow share or slow rewind.
I think it would be fair to say that the book is very well received by most people that read it. As we can see, I'm not filming.
Goddamn! It won't even let me pause there. Let's just see the main. All these ideas ruin the experience of the book, and the fact that the main character also has Superman-like powers, and the kryptonite is their only weakness, but is an author overcome. Grandmaster skill, so 2 different kind of... I'm seeing the character development for a second book. I don't like how things went on in this book and won't get to know anything else about the world and its leftover villain, the Shade. Based fucking criticism. Get this book if you like to read about failed adults, adultery, sex, rape, and slaves. I wanted to forget about the world and have a great adventure, forget about stress and have a good time. But with this book, I just get reminded how twisted and revolting humanity can be. I'm done. That's a little mean. The narrator couldn't save it. Overall, 1 performance. Michael Kramer. Michael Kramer, Kate, is one of my favorite narrators. He couldn't save this book for me. I could not get past the arc of the book. I wanted to like the main character, but could never get there. Return the book.
Filtering away negative
Damn. Okay. Well, you started
But
scrolling
overall,
down, and I'm seeing some
hugely
more, man.
positive. It's the same when we go to just the Amazon review page. If we sort by most recent, we have the most recent reviews, 5 stars. They say, great book. This one actually is a really interesting review. Utterly unique, a mind-blowing different story of a main character. And they say, I can't believe I'm rooting for this guy, but I am.
I'm too
I refuse
bored.
to say more than that. You wouldn't believe me anyway.
Cope,
Well, you
cope,
know,
cope,
first book,
cope,
I was trying to
cope,
write the sequel.
cope, cope,
This is what
cope.
I are feeling about the book. And so I think...
Dude, we are blasting past any
at least a
3
little
stars
bit of
missing.
right to say that it's a good book. And if you like this type of, fantasy...
The fuck does that mean?
fantasy, well... there's a
What?
big chance
Look at
that,
these!
you will really enjoy the novel as well. I'll end off with this review here. They say, impressive book. I found difficult to put down. I'll admit I bought this book because of my love for Shad's YouTube channel. I wasn't expecting much, especially given it was his first novel. I was pleasantly surprised to find this to be one of the most engrossing novels I've read in a while. Not since Project
Who the
Hail Mary
fuck?
have I read a book that I simply couldn't put down. Thank you, Anthony.
Hold on. Okay, I thought somebody did something
Really
funny
appreciate
and
that
snuck in
news.
like bad
And
things, but
the
they didn't.
Amazon reviews are sitting on 4.6 out of 5 stars. That is with 2,400 ratings. So looking at the overall consensus, after 4 years since, publishing my novel,
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to go ahead and cut him off there because this is like dodging the criticism. And he said it earlier and just ignored that he ignored his own statement. So if I release a book, right, and only my mom reads it, and my mom's like, you did great, then I have a 100% confirmation rate that I wrote a good book. You know what I'm saying? If I write a book that no one on earth is fucking interested in me in reading because I'm the Brigadine guy from YouTube that swings the sword around and shit, and then you've never heard of me otherwise, then like you're gonna just be, it's your fans, man. Your fans bought the book. And your fans are saying nice things about you. More than likely, it probably is to a degree some of these sad puppies dudes and shit. But you got to see, I see you skipping past the negative reviews, like blowing past them, man. You got to read some negatives. Reading your negative reviews is the most fun shit ever. I'll tell you one of my favorite fucking negative reviews I've ever gotten. I will bring it up again and again. It was on my podcast. And it was, I can almost remember it from like entirely. It was a 1-star review. And it said, I don't think the title of it was like bullshit or something. And this is on Apple. You can look it up. It's on Apple Podcast. This is bogus. I don't think that this book is real. In fact, these stories, it's a fiction podcast, seem completely made up. Also, I feel like this is a podcast for girls. Definitely a podcast for girls. And like a podcast for girls is what sticks in my head. I love it. That was a great one. My first bad review was from some Swedish woman, and she just said, "This is not how a man talks. If you want to hear a real man's voice, then you must listen to this other person." I love that. It's shit's fucking great. I love a bad review, and then I love good bad reviews too. Like people, I like all the shit that people say about me. It's fucking great. If it's actually useful, it helps you grow. And then if it's not, generally, if you live your life in a fucking great way, I say this all the time. A bad review of you from someone you don't like, that about parts of you that you do like, is just a confirmation that you're the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like how you're all fucking free-spirited and do whatever the fuck you want. You're like, yeah, that's right. That's right, I am. I am that fucking guy. It feels great, dude. You gotta ride the high, man. Ride the fucking high. But this is COPIUM. I don't know what we're gonna do for another 6 minutes. I hope you read some negatives.
Really positive. And that just... Thank you.
Soft boy shit.
Thank you for everyone who has read my novel, and even people who didn't like it. I appreciate you giving the time to take a look at it. So for you as a potential reader, or for people who have read the novel, it is interesting to try and determine if you'll like a book before having read it. And one of the ways that people do is to look for reviews. I'm a reviewer. I review lots of media on Night's Watch. I wouldn't say rely on my review alone, or any one single person's review. You'd want to see what a collection of reviewers think about it. And one of the best ways...
I do reviews on Night's Watch. One of the parts that I do reviews on Night's Watch, and then one of the people's fucking things they said was, "He's the guy that gets mad if girls wear pants. They're mad at you for your other reviews."
Majority kind of view of my novel, and a lot of novels are. You can go to the Amazon page, the Audible page, look at reviews, sort by most recent, and see what the most recent people reading the book.
Thornburn, get in here and teach Taylor to speak like a man.
Kind of Review bombing is an interesting thing. Hasn't happened to me yet. Neither positive nor negative, but it can happen on both ends. But it's usually an interesting phenomenon. At the moment, I think sorting by most recent is a very fair way to go about it. The novel is still available on Amazon.
You gotta search by worst,
and also, I have produced a graphic novel adaptation, which is going to be now in 3 parts. And the first part already had a launch on Indiegogo, and we are in the final stages of the fulfillment. The final stages because everything's been printed. Printed like the book and novels, because there was a second edition version of the novel exclusively available through the Indiegogo. Hopefully I'll make it more generally available later on, as well as the graphic novel. And it's got like a new the graphic novel has new covers.
I won't be able to understand what he's saying if I put it up to 1.5, but I want
close to going out. You have no idea. So that's really exciting. Volume 2 of the graphic novel adaptation, the principal artwork is already done, and we're already working on colours. And so Volume 2 isn't that far away. Either in launching, when I say that far, I don't know, it'll still be several months. So these could be tricky things to get going. Now, I think it's also fair because I haven't done like a big video on Shadow the Conqueror in a bit, and so updates are important, and there are a good number of people who don't know about the current state of the short film. Shadow the Conqueror was so popular that there was a small production company that wanted to try and make a short film. It was Project Iradia, and they did launch a Kickstarter to try and raise funds to produce the film. Unfortunately, it looks like the short film has stalled to the point of not being.
Man, if you make a short film on Shadow of the Conqueror, like, just what percentage of the main character being a rapist do you bring in? Because there's only one girl who's prominently featured. You can see she's right here. There's one girl that's prominently featured in the book and gets to do any sort of action at all, and she is the main character's child rape victim. That is just a fact. I'm so sorry. Spoilers. I fucked up right there. Spoilers. But like, what part of that? Because I remember I watched them doing the practice, because everyone's like, you got to watch him like trying to teach these people how to sword fight. It's hilarious, and it's very funny. And then like I was like, okay, so this is the guy and this is the girl. All right, we're going to do a main basic sort of romance thing, and there are aspects of romance between them. You're beautiful. I just remember him saying that. Michael Kramer's voice. And then you find out, and it should surprise no one, she was just one of his many child sexual assault victims. He's literally child sex slave. So like on the cover, as I in my thing, hey, prolific rapist, magical black guy friend, and his rape victim. Just like, and treated with all the skill and sensitivity to the issues at hand as of a guy that skips through all of his bad reviews.
Being able to get completed. Dradia Productions released a video.
This isn't even. How did this as a cope stream? It was supposed to just be an ad.
And they were very upfront and honest about everything. It's very unfortunate that it's where it is, where things are at where it is. I was there to help out in really any way I could. I was there filming as well, and I can attest that. Especially the project leads. So like Dylan, I can understand how.
See, like I'm gonna pick out. I have a very good eye for pleated skirts. If you need anyone to check out the models, to make sure their pleated skirts look good.
Or guilty he feels about where the project's ended, but from my perspective, I honestly see a guy who tried his very best.
Basically just rants. It's 100% rants.
Through the Kickstarter was spent.
I hate that I know that reference.
I wasn't paid it either. I flew out to Canada.
No, we cracked 200 concurrent.
To try and give it every boost I could to help Dradia Productions do the project that they were after.
I don't like what's going on.
It wasn't my project to begin with. They were very determined I wanted to do it. I tried to help in every way I could. That's where the short film is at right now. Unfortunately, if I'm in a position in the future where I have, a spare like $100,000, which I'm not sure if I'll ever get to that point, right? But Dylan Dradia Productions has made what we filmed available to anyone who requests it. Okay, the principal filming did get done. It's the post-production, which they don't have the funds to complete. And if I'm ever in a position, I'll try and finish the film, the short film myself, because.
Thank you, Atheist Mando, for $2. Hashtag Shad doesn't know how to write women. And Shad barely knows how to write men. I'll be honest with you. That's the other fact. That's just the other fact there, is he does not know how to write people in general. Because I spent 18 hours listening to Michael, Kramer. Jesus Christ, I forget the guy's last name every time. reading, and that guy could read a phone book, and somehow this motherfucker made just reading every fucking name alphabetically off of a piece of paper somehow almost completely unlistenable. Ridiculous.
There were so many people who really tried their best, especially Dawson, who played Dalen, and everyone.
Hondo.
They put their heart and souls into the short film. And so maybe I might be able to try and do something with it in the future to not let it be forever kind of lost. And look, and I understand that Deradia tried their very, very best. Things really just and see the update video. I'm still very grateful for the effort that he put into it. And so that is where it's at. Oh, it's a different, but it's a medieval fantasy. And so that one I'm working on graphic novel production. The Shadow of the Conqueror graphic novel is, moving ahead very, very I'm excited about it in a great way. And also other projects that I'm working on as well. So
what the fuck? Hold on.
Great
I love it when he flashes up art.
Also other projects.
Look at the fucking bicep on that guy. Where is that? What is the connection on that muscle right there? Madman. Goddamn AI art people, dude. I swear to fucking Christ. They can't help themselves. They really just can't.
That I'm working on as well. So thank you for everyone who's...
Yeah, he gave that one a little smile and a wink. He was proud of that. He's like, really primed the pump on that one, didn't I?
In this video. Thank you to everyone who's read Shadow of the Conqueror and give it a go. And of course, thank you to everyone who has read the book and become a fan.
This is so disappointing. So disappointing from Shad. I thought it would be more fun and more contentious, especially. I get why people said it might have been me, because as far as all of the reviews that are recent go, I think most people read it. I haven't seen anybody else's posts that listened to it. Not to detract from anyone who did the work and did. I just haven't seen your video pop up yet. Oh hey. Shut the fuck up, chat. Also here, thanks for the 2. What is that, quid? Did you say 2 quid? I think that's what that is. Start fundraising for your pleated skirt stream. Bro, I will fucking wreck that shit. I'll be in here fucking changing lives with these thighs. Atheist Man, though, $5. The fact I spent literal money for his GoFundMe for his book makes me hate him even more. Because he made it sound like he had this original idea. Not. I mean, fair enough. I would be pretty upset about that too. Let me just kind of break down my issues with this video, because they really are kind of endemic of these fucking. I'm finding patterns. You understand? There's a lot of similarities between these people. How to articulate this the best way? I'll just jump in straight off. First off, this is not what people really think of your book, right? You should focus a little bit on just explicated criticisms. There's a lot of people that wrote long chunks of shit to you, and you should just get into it. You know what I'm saying? Just figure out what the fuck they do or don't like about you. Because also, just as another thing, if you're an artist out there, for all my little artists that are in chat, if you want to improve, another good thing is to look at the long reviews of you that are good, because you might be able to pick up on exactly what it is people like about your shit. I do it all the time, especially with stream, which I'm extremely flexible about trying to make accommodating to people, because you guys will be, hey, I really like this type of thing. I'm like, okay, I'll do it again, because it's a good criticism. Hey, I love the stream, keep it up, that's fucking great. I always like that. But, when people are like, hey, dude, I really learned something from this stream. The first art challenge thing I did as just a one night, and everyone's like, hey, I really, really enjoyed that challenge. Could you possibly increase that? Because, I'm VOD gang. I don't have the time to get that in by Thursday. And so, we adapted stuff to make it more open for people to get in. And that's just, coming from reading your more long form criticisms. Those would probably be ratings of a 4 out of 5, Hey, 4 out of 5 for this challenge that I really enjoyed and really wanted to participate. I just couldn't do it. And if you focus on stuff like that and you start learning how to accept criticism into your heart, you can improve. It's not to say that you should go out there and every time somebody says something about you, you should be like, I'm going to learn from this. There's plenty of people. You get into my comments, dude. You guys don't even get to see all the good ones. I laugh at the shit that people send me, but I do have to delete it because of TOS. You can't call me you can't say all the iDubbbz words to me in the comments. You know what I'm saying? But you can't say the iDubbbz words to me. And then expect to get on the channel. I gotta fucking ban you because that's a TOS break. You gotta be a little bit more clever, with your bigotry. Get at least a touch past the fucking AI gate. But the big issue with him is he did not address any of the criticisms. He just said, like, I got some and they're not even worth, like, talking about and stuff. Which is like, bro, but they fucking so are. There's really good content to be had up there, first off, if you just did. Not even just for me. But, like, my man. The best way to sum this up, or to hop into this, I think, is to repeat some of the criticisms I've gotten from Shadites on my videos about him. One of the biggest ones is that it is unfair for me to suggest that Shad's got some creepy vibes. I've never said in any of my things that I'm 100, I'm like, Shad has done these things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying he's got a weird vibe about him, which is really just a construction thing in the first place. Like, just the way that you're approaching the topics makes you seem fucking weird, okay? Like, Vladimir Nabokov wrote one of my favorite novels, probably for until I die, Lolita, which is about the most disgusting person ever, period, Humbert. But there's no point while I was reading it where I was just like, Vladimir Nabokov has got some screws loose. And it's because he handled the subject matter extremely well. Even when you're narrating, this is all right, we're going past, I'm just going to skip past fucking writing 101 to like senior lecture course fucking 635 with fucking Professor Tyler. When you are trying to craft philosophy inside of a narrative, your characters cannot all be existing contingent on their shared belief in philosophy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also they have to exist philosophically separate from you. Otherwise, they seem like they're just an extension of you. If I wrote a character into a book that was repeating all of the things that I always, like I said, and I had like a lot of really strong feelings on, and then was not also clearly different from me as his own individual character just because it was poorly written and just didn't seem like a whole real human being, then people that were reading the book sideways could very realistically think like, hey, you're fucking weird for writing that. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not a thing that I'm actually weird about, they would be justified in that assumption because you just executed it so fucking badly that you look like a clown. Just imagine somebody going on stage at an open mic night and they're like, I have this really funny joke I told in front of my two black friends and I'm just going to say it right now in front of all of you. Trust me, this is great. That person might not be, we're just going to use your imagination what he said in this stand-up set. He might not actually be like a real fucking racist. You know what I'm saying? But nobody in that fucking crowd is going to think that that's the case. And everyone in that crowd is justified because the dude first thought he didn't land. It didn't land. It fucking sucked. Bad joke. Unfunny. Also weird, shitty, creepy, whatever subject matter. You didn't get it. If you're going to write about highly intense shit, you got to be good. That's why we don't have the C-Spot Run version of sexual assault. There's no little fucking cardboard kids book for fucking like how not to die in a Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there might be one, but it's not a hitter. Because that's really, really hardcore shit to write about. It's extremely difficult to do and do well. Usually it is, like I said in a previous video, a culmination of a lifetime of understanding and learning and passion for the topic at hand. If I wrote a war book, I'm telling you guys, I have some opinions on war. Very nuanced, based on literal years I spent at it. Because that was a job I had. I was in the military. That was my job. So I have like a lot of vibes on it. If I wrote a book on chess, which I don't give a fuck about, and somebody's like, this is kind of like I feel like you don't get fucking chess. You don't really seem to understand this because I didn't do any research or anything. They would be completely justified in thinking like, making all sorts of assumptions about me because I didn't even try from the beginning to fucking actually hammer it home that I have like extensive knowledge on this or that I'm treating the subject with care and concern. A lot of these issues that I'm bringing up right now are the same issues that Shad himself and his friends and cohorts complain about on like Night's Watch and in these fucking like nerdrotic shit, These people are fumbling, mismanaging their attempts at talking about these nuanced and particularized social issues and fumbling it and looking like assholes because they can't write it good. You are doing the same thing. But the fact that your people that are your fans are jumping in there and you're my man, you're in a fucking hug box. You are, I can't explain, you are in a hug box and you are doing the bubble. You are doing the echo chamber when you said a thing that you wanted to hear and then you scrolled down through 700 comments, skipping all of them except for the ones that said something you wanted to hear. That was doing the thing. You did the thing. You can't escape that criticism. You did it on camera. I saw it. I watched it happen. You did the thing. You did the thing. You did the thing that everyone says that you say you shouldn't do. You did the hug box snowflakes thing. You did it. I can't hammer that home enough. And your writing suffers for the same reason that a lot of those spoiled fucking San Francisco fucking upper middle class white kids who just get to skip right past go to writing for fucking, syndicated shows. They fuck up the same way. Lena Dunham is also trash in the same way that you're trash. You guys just have different topics that you wanted to write about badly. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. The problem with the redemption arc, that's the other thing I definitely want to hit. So before I go and talk to chat, I will talk to you guys. I love you. And I'll be there in a second, but I gotta go. I gotta finish this. The other thing I wanted to say is the redemption arc does not exist, and so that is a bad argument in favor of this. One of the funniest ones. I got a comment from somebody that said, Shad in the book said that essay is bad, but you said that Shad's writing about it is bad, so do you like essay? And that was just wild. Like, you gotta understand, Shad, like, these are your best soldiers, and they humiliate you at every chance. I'm from the internet. I don't care. I fucking don't give a shit, bro. Your strongest soldiers walk to die in the desert before reaching the walls of my small holdout in the dusty hills. Really bad showing. You've got to tell your fucking supporters to just not support you publicly anymore if that's what they're gonna do, because that shit's fucking embarrassing for you as a creator. I gotta say, all the rest of you in chat, don't go out fucking trying to swing for me, okay? I can handle it. You just tell them, somebody says they have a problem with me, just tell them to come tell me directly. That's all I want from anyone. Don't go out there trying to fucking raise arms on behalf of Tyler. But the issue with it is the redemption arc doesn't fucking happen. He doesn't redeem himself at all. He does the thing that anyone else would do if they're just a decent person, which is try to save the city with their magical god powers. The whole story is 18 hours of a dildo talking about how he was a dildo and then still doing dildo shit the entire fucking time. The entire time. He is still a rapist. He rapes his own son to death with a stick. That's what that is. That's extremely violent sexual assault on your own son when he kills Blackheart. You're still that guy. You just haven't changed at all in 20 years. You just will still use sexual violence against people. Sexual violence against men is still sexual violence. By the way, I'm sorry I didn't trigger warning anyone who doesn't want to hear about shit like that. I'm just fucking on a roll right now. I'll say this twice in a row, just so I can hammer. Sexual violence against men is still sexual violence. Sexual violence against men is still sexual violence. It doesn't matter if you're fucking straight or your character is supposed to be straight presenting. That he's still a fucking rapist because of what he did. He is unredeemable. Going off as a vigilante and gelding other men is sexual violence. We don't do that in any sort of good society because you don't go down to their level. If I am that upset with someone, I will just put them in a box until they die in the box. You know what I'm saying? Or, if I have to interrupt someone and I have to take their life in doing so, that. But we don't go around interrupting the genitals of other people as a form of punishment because that's fucking weird to do or think about. It's fucking weird that you have it in your mind. The first thing you thought of when somebody was describing this act was just how to touch that guy's dick. Bizarre. To me, when I articulate that out, does that not change things for other? Because it's fucking insane. So your guy still just uses sexual violence as a manner of control of other people. That's never addressed in any way at all. There's just a few people who are like, yeah, you know what? That's actually cool. I'm fine with that. Additionally, after the big thing happens where he saves the world, which, by the way, any person would do. This is heroism on the scale of the end of any Marvel movie. Is thing falling at city, self-sacrifice to blow it up. It's the Iron Giant, all right? I've seen the Iron Giant. The Iron Giant saves the city to prove the Iron Giant is human like everybody else, as opposed to fucking Manly, who goes and fucking hides because he's all about violence. The Iron Giant proves he's as good as other people. It's not an exemplary thing. He just does what he can. He does self-sacrifice because he's basically fucking human. It does not remove all of the things the Iron Giant has done, you know, good or bad in the past. It just proves that one aspect. The fact that he doesn't try to, like, undo any of the stuff that he's done. Finds out he has a 10,000 million bastards, doesn't go try to figure it out. All of that strongly suggests that Dalen doesn't give a fuck. 20 years of being able to undo any amount of damage. Just do anything. Literally cop to the crime. Give stuff away for free. Do anything. But none of that ever happens. And even if there is some, like, you know, basically, unironically, God or whatever in this world is just like, nah, Dalen's cool. Dalen's got it. That implies when the God of your world, unless you're like writing at like the level of a 40K war historian, you know, gangster deep lore shit, when the God of your world that's just inseparable from just a standard monotheistic capital G Yahweh stand-in is like, this dude's good, then the only thing I can infer from that story is that the dude is good. Like, he's solid. He's ethically and morally A-okay right where he is, as opposed to just getting obliterated. So, like, God's fine with all of the shit that fucking happened. Madness. And then after that happens, we have the trial, which is the weirdest part for you, Shad. That's the part you shouldn't have fucking written. That was the part you fucked up because your friends handed you a copy of Ayn Rand's fucking Fountainhead, and you were just like, or Atlas Shrugged, and you were like, who is John Galt? And you started fucking, you started priming the pump there, and you fucked up because that whole scene is to articulate that Dalen was in the right. Ultimately, the scales were weighed in the favor of the prolific rapist because of the possibility that he could become a cop. He became a police officer. And that's it. And also, after he even comes out with some of this stuff, he is still, while in the stand, saying very, very awful things about women, just displaying an insane ignorance of the topic at hand, while being, in universe, the smartest person that's ever existed. You can't, once you start mixing the absolutism of your Gary Stu type writing, he's the smartest, he's the coolest, he's the most morally fucking, like, you know, but he made a few mistakes, but he was always actually doing it for the right reasons, except for these issues, which is just confused. You can't even get into all that. When you add that on top of, like, he was basically exonerated at the trial type vibe, right? I know it's not exactly what happened, but it's that type vibe. Then all we're left with is like, okay, yeah, I did cop to all these things that I know are bad, but in just off rip, I'm just going to say, any woman that gets raped but gets to keep her kids probably going to be happier than a girl that gets raped and doesn't get pregnant. That's just a thing that's articulated in your story and is the thing I have the biggest amount of problems with, because it is never addressed or said out loud in order for it to bounce off of other people. You know, your dude says a lot of shit that's never really called into question in any valuable way. It's always either hand-waved or just kind of been like, well, sometimes he's a bad guy. And that's not good, you know? You're Ebenezer Scrooge, but without, like, all of the fucking ghosts of Christmas past showed up and were like, you had a point. You know? Like, yo, this thing that you did, fucked up. And then the ghost of Christmas future was like, oh, don't worry, dude. You're good. Actually, you get a rollie. You get a rollie off this, man. Like, fucking straight up. Like, thanks for coming to the party. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Shad now. But Shad, unironically, I know you're watching me. I know it. I can feel your eyes on me. It's okay. I don't mind. You should talk to me about this. I will not be mean to you unless you start being weird or like you just have to be bead mean to. You can watch plenty of my VODs. You can see how I fucking talk to and about people. Prepare, do research, whatever. If you want to go on some fucking, have some fucking middleman, you need like friends. Bring me on the most aggressive show, 6v1. I don't care. I'll talk to you. I don't mind. No matter how afraid you are, I will do my best to put you at ease, and I will have a conversation with you about your piss poor writing, because you can still improve. Anyone can get better. It's a matter of practice. You're not stuck being dog shit. There are a lot of aspects of your personality that are going to prevent you from improving. One of the biggest ones is just you got good at one thing, and that thing is supporting all of the other things you do. That's not going to last forever, and you're really putting a lot of strain on your the channel that you have built naturally. People are starting to understand who you are, and you are starting to calcify into the sort of person that is less fun to listen to about sorts. Also, there's only so much history to go over, and then you run out of history, which is why you're now stuck talking about modern era shit that you're completely incapable of dealing with because you just don't have the education, background, training, and passion to learn about these subjects. I've heard you talk about books like 6 times now, and I've never heard you mention something more difficult than a fucking Brandon Sanderson book, which is rough, buddy. Like, I hope you've read stuff that's more complicated than J.R.R. Tolkien if you're trying to, go after, and don't say George R.R. Martin, if you're trying to go after subjects that would be in a George R.R. Martin type book. George R.R. Martin does not limit it, I'm going to guess, off rip, does not limit his reading to just shit that's vaguely in the same wheelhouse as what he reads. If that's what you're doing, that's going to absolutely ankle you. Anybody else out there who is a creator, who's a writer, that will ankle you in your creativity, by which I mean it will break your ankle and leave you crawling about on the ground, feeble, unable to see long distances because you're only 2 inches off the dirt. Don't do that to yourself. Read all the shit you can, and I mean all the shit, not just fiction. Read good fiction, but read your local newspaper. It'll blow your mind how much better of a writer you'll become by reading your local newspaper. You're like, oh man, I don't know what to write about. I don't feel like I don't know people. You want to learn some drama? You want to get the grease in your wheels? Read your local newspaper and get involved. See how local politics plays out. Read historical accounts of things. Read Herodotus. Go into your histories. If you want to read some wild shit, understand the basis of the Western canon before you try to start saying that it's Shakespeare, and go back and read some Aristophanes. Read Plato, read fucking Aristotle. Understand why people were assassinated with hemlock back in the day. Familiarize yourself with how the Greek legal system worked and the Democritus. And, you can learn all kinds of shit about that era. You can fucking start figuring out how the Attic and stuff was like had all these little fucking city-states and shit that used to fight. And that will inform, you'll go like, oh fuck, this is 99% of all of the fantasy books I've ever read is actually just ancient Greece, but like a little bit deeper in. It'll blow your fucking mind. Get out there. Read crazy shit. Okay? Expand your if the one thing that you're reading to improve yourself is just people saying that like, hey man, I liked your book, you're fucked. You're a double fucked Oreo. It's never gonna get better for you. I think that's fine though. You're probably not a bad person in your heart. I don't think really most people are. Everybody can fix themselves. It's not a hard task. Just swallow your unfathomably thick pride for 2 seconds, accept that you probably made some fucking mistakes, and don't just entertain it. Entertain it as though you made some mistakes. Consider it a fictional test, like a trick. What if I am the bad guy? Just try to do that. Away the baddies. Just try one of them.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
218 concurrents. You're out of your fucking mind. By the way, thank you, Shad, for 218 concurrents. I wouldn't be here without you, bud.